Oh, hey, thank you so much for clicking on this podcast. We're going to have a really nice conversation today about some of the stuff we collect. Hannah, I've always said I wanted to have something on this channel, right, about the stuff.
Right.
I've said that since the beginning, and I don't know if this podcast continuing forward will only be about stuff. I doubt it, because I like some of the conversations philosophically we have outside of it.
Totally.
But I do definitely want to have some conversations just talking more about the stuff. Now, we're not just going to talk about Brad Stalls and Furby. We're going to talk about the why today on this episode. And I'll tell you before we get started today what prompted this conversation. Hannah, you can attest to this. I've spent every waking hour for about a week in this room.
Yes, you have.
As of posting this, it's Saturday. Tomorrow, Sunday, is my birthday, and we're doing a live show on our main channel. And so all my time's been spent preparing this room for that. And that's what's got me. I've been in here just messing with this stuff and moving that stuff, and it's really prompted me to want to have a conversation about this stuff. So we're going to do that today. But you have to know that you got to be there for our live show on our main channel. And hopefully if you're watching this in the future and both have already happened, you can go back to our main channel and watch it. But we're doing a birthday bash video, and I want you to be there. I know this is a little bit confusing for some because inevitably we're going to put those live shows on this channel, but the channel hasn't grown enough to where it makes sense to do that. The live shows are still better off on our main channel. But you can expect some clips and stuff to end up on this channel after it's aired. But just do me a huge favor. If you've ever liked anything about us in the past, make sure you're there for our live show tomorrow. Now, let's get on with this show and talk about some of the stuff. So as most of you know, we have done most of these pre-recorded podcasts. So as most of you watching have noticed, we have done all these pre-recorded podcasts in front of our... So as most of you have noticed, we have done all of our pre-recorded podcasts here in front of our wondrous collection, right? I always kind of wanted to make, if not this podcast, one of our regular Tendo show channel episodes about stuff. And I still don't know for the future if this podcast is specifically going to be about stuff, because I don't want to narrow the scope that much. Our best podcasts so far, I think, are the ones that are just longer and us just talking about life. But I do want to do something on this channel that's a regular spot just about the stuff, because why have all this stuff if we're not going to show it off, talk about it, right? So this podcast today, we are very much so going to talk about the stuff. So we're going to go over some of the things we collect. I'm going to talk about some of my Furby and stuff, and we're going to get more into the why and the philosophy and thoughts and maybe even future plans about it all. But let's start with you, Hannah, about this. Why don't you just kind of start talking about what you collect specifically?
Okay, to put it into like a big three, I guess. I feel like one you can't really count as collecting, but I would say I collect clothes, dishes, and Brat Stalls.
Well, I guess clothes would be the one thing that all of us collect, right? We all curate our wardrobe. So that one, I get what you're saying. That one does kind of go without saying, but I feel like you also, because of your profession, do it to a slightly higher level than most.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everybody has a style, and they're like, I'm gonna wear specific things, and like
right.
I like certain style things.
Like I have a collection of black t-shirts.
If your style is black t-shirts,
right?
Sure. That is that. But I feel like there is a certain to a certain degree, it is collecting. Like you go to the mall and you buy specific,
right,
brands, and
if you have a stack of nothing but flannel shirts, you collect flannel shirts. Anyways, yeah. What else do you collect?
Well, I do collect dishes. So I collect very specific, like Pyrex and Corningware. If I'm gonna have a dish in my kitchen, it's probably going to be a vintage one.
Well, I think this raises a question before we get too far into this discussion today. Well, it raises a point and a question. I think a point that's going to raise is that a lot of the stuff you collect is way more practical than the nonsense I collect. Though not all of it, but by and large. But like this is yet again another thing that like everyone kind of collects dishes. But again, I mean, you're obviously way more serious about it. Your dish collection is way more curated. But I think that's an interesting point moving forward. But I think another really good thing that we could talk about and comment below, here's kind of the question, like, is there anything that you collect that's normal that you probably wouldn't think of as a collection? Like, my Furby collection is way different than a dish collection, right? Do you have anything like that that you maybe don't think of as a collection much, but you do work on it rather hard? I think we could have a lot of interesting answers. Some people work really hard on curating their candle collection, or their bath towels, maybe. I don't know. Comment below if you've got something like that. But continue, Hannah. What else do you collect?
The last thing I would say is going to be Bratz dolls. That's the most obvious one. And like you said, the clothing isn't necessarily like, I think I consider it a collection. Dishes, they're more practical as well, but Bratz dolls, there's no practicality in that. There's just
glorified nonsense.
Just have Bratz dolls.
Got to shuffle. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the main stuff for you. Right here behind us, you can see there's a bunch of video games right behind Hannah, and then between us, my Furby collection, and then, of course, that's Hannah's Bratz doll collection, and a lot of the stuff down that shelf in the next one, a lot of that stuff's hers, but for me, gosh, this is going to get complicated, and I don't want to weigh this conversation down with, like, way too much talk about collecting and stuff, like the random nonsense I collect, because I could probably just spend this whole podcast just kind of listing the things, because there's a whole other set of 3 of these shelves that are just as full off camera, but it's all like sorted into baskets, and it's stuff that like I teeter between collecting or wanting to collect, or I want to save for the future. And of course, I've already made this clear in a lot of our pre-tape podcasts that like I have bigger plans in the future to do a lot of things with a lot of stuff. And I think one of the things I live tortured by is like what to really do with that stuff, and if I'm being realistic about it, right? So like one example is Skylanders, right? And if you don't know what Skylanders are, because I'm sure there's a few people watching that don't, Skylanders are these little bitty toys that coincide with a video game, and they have these little chips on the bottom of them, and these chips scan into a little computer reader on a video game, and then you get that toy, that creature inside the game. There's other toys that do this. Nintendo has a brand called Amiibo that do it. Lego has a brand that does it, but it was a real big craze a little while back. And through making our videos on this channel, I have learned some pretty interesting lessons about stuff that is now valuable that we had when we were kids. And, you know, everyone knows of stuff like Beanie Babies, right? Like that we thought was going to be valuable. And Hannah, if you can think of any other examples of that, please do share. But like everyone thought Beanie Babies was going to be valuable, and it wasn't. And there's a lot of stuff like that. But there is also stuff like Pokemon cards. Like I think we all knew Pokemon cards were going to be valuable, but I bet even the most of us that were most interested in it probably didn't know it was going to be quite this crazy.
Yeah.
But as a reseller and as a collector doing what we do, there are certain things that I'm hoarding right now because I know for a fact their value is only going to increase. And I might not even want to keep them later, but I might want to sell them later or use them, more importantly for me and the way my brain works. I want to use them later to trade for stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
And this makes me, I think, a little bit on a different level. And I don't mean a different level as in like I'm trying to compete with your collecting, but like I'm doing this way more for a hobby and for a living than the average person, right? So an example of that for me is my Beyblade collection, right? We've talked about this a bunch, Hannah, recently. I collect Beyblade. Now, it's going to be a little bit difficult to see on this camera, but right over here, right above, right in the top right corner of your screen, that's all Beyblade stuff. And it's really curated, and that's my favorite stuff. But I have a giant Home Depot tub, absolutely full.
It's crazy. Full,
brimming to the top of every generation of Beyblade. And I was just texting my buddy Ivan. Sup, Ivan? Shout out if you're watching. Because we were just talking about some different stuff and different projects we got going on. And I was like, I kind of tried to explain to him, like, I've realized and added it up that Beyblade collection's sitting at about $6,000 of value.
Oh, wow.
And that's a complicated thing because, you know, my video game collection is sitting at roughly $20,000, $30,000 in value, but that's not like you put that on Craigslist and someone comes and gets it for $20,000. I mean, it's complicated selling selling a collection of something.
Yeah.
Is an immense undertaking, and it's not something you should consider lightly. But $6,000 worth of Beyblade though is just a big tub full of metal and plastic, so that's a little easier. That can be shipped easier. And Skylanders, which I showed you a minute ago, is definitely something else that I kind of consider this. And what I want to discuss today is kind of our passion for some of this stuff that we collect, but then also like where the passion ends and the nonsense begins. Like there's some stuff I have that I just need to throw away or give away because it is nonsense, which I don't feel that way about my Furby. I can't imagine ever getting rid of those. So we have those things, right? We have these tiers of like, okay, we've got to move into a smaller place. Let's just say we decided to move next month. Like, we can't take all of this. What do we do with it,
Yeah.
So let's get into that. Let's get into a little bit of, because I'm going to come back to the Beyblade and the Skylander and some of that stuff, because we're doing this podcast about this today because I've spent so much time thinking about this, because I've spent so much time in this room this week. Hannah can attest to this. We're getting ready for our live show, which is going to be on our main channel tomorrow as a filming this, so make sure you come to the main channel for that. But because it's in this room and I've been working on stuff, it's all I've thought about is this stuff and curating it and organizing it for these shows that we do. But Hannah, why don't you answer that question? What kind of draw the line with stuff that you collect, whether it's dishes, dolls, whatever, that like you could do without, or I mean, you're not as out there as I am with all the crazy stuff, right? So
yeah,
I don't know. I think you're going to have a much different answer than I am.
Yeah, I mean, if we were having a fire sale tomorrow, it's like everything must go. What would not be included in that fire sale?
Well, and we can kind of show the people. I don't know how to get out of the way here, but this whole shelf right here is a lot of Hannah's stuff. So you can kind of rank that, right? Like, you love your Bratz dolls. Pops are cool, but and then like we've got Xena stuff that we didn't buy, but people sent us.
It's really cool.
And it's super dope, but it's like, we're not out there at the thrift looking for Xena stuff.
Right. So, like my big three I just mentioned, if I only had space to take my most loved things, I would take my clothes, I would take my dishes, and I would take my Bratz dolls. Everything else would just kind of have to.
Right, but if this were a situation where the house was on fire and you could only grab some certain things, you're not grabbing your Bratz dolls because they're so heavy.
Oh my gosh,
you got so many.
But I could grab them because they're all in one giant tub. I just have to get all those off the shelf. I just throw them in a tub and just go.
You could just yeet them out the window.
I feel like that is a very interesting point though, because the replaceability of things is, I feel like, a huge factor. If the house was burning down tomorrow, it would be way easier for me to replace my clothes and dishes than it would be to replace all those Bratz dolls. Right. So I might grab the Bratz dolls. Is that crazy? After I grab the cats, of course.
Yeah, well, I don't know. This is such a difficult thing because, like, I love Beyblade, and that stuff up there in that shelf, though, is like the stuff from my era. So I don't have a huge attachment to my giant tub. I have a tub, same size tub, just as full as your Bratz doll tub. Well, a little less. Your Bratz doll tub's overflowing, but really close to the same, just filled with Beyblade stuff, and that's incredible. There's probably not 3 places on Earth outside of who makes Beyblade. Does Hasbro produce them? I don't know.
I think so.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think they might just distribute them in the U.S. But anyways, outside of a Beyblade factory, you're not going to find many places on Earth that have as many Beyblade as one place as we do. It's incredible. And if you're a Beyblade fanatic, I mean, if someone likes video games and they walk into this house, they're going to be like, this is video game heaven. Now, you can only see 2 shelves worth, but there's 5 or 6 worth off camera, and we've got a really nice curation of video games. But like, it's just what I really like about some of the stuff that we have possession of is that, like, even if you're not into it, like, it's something to marvel at. I kind of wish I had it here so we could just dump it out on this table. It's just a mound of Beyblade of every generation. And so to get into a little bit, so I can kind of answer the question. I love my Furby. I love my Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon cards a lot. Those are probably the top ones, and even more so my Yu-Gi-Oh! I have such a love-hate relationship with Pokemon because I want to collect them all, but there's just so many of them, and so I teeter-totter between just keep the stuff you like and want to play with and get rid of them with Pokemon, but then like Yu-Gi-Oh, you can't hardly get me to get rid of a single card. It's just how it is. And go ahead.
The time that we put all the Yu-Gi-Oh cards in our antique mall, and then
I went back
and got them all.
Yeah, she's telling the truth. I did. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but that did happen.
You had a reason to get them, but at the same time, it was still kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, I went to sell all my kind of common Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I kept just the expensive stuff, and then we actually started playing with some people and playing regularly. And I was like, well, there's cards I need. And I went back and got the cards I had for sale, took out the ones I needed, and I put the rest back. It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
But it's not like I took all the cards back out and left them out. But we've been selling a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Pokemon cards lately. And I have so many. And we're actually running out of our stock of like our doubles that we sell. So like when the doubles are gone, and the only Pokemon cards I have laying around are just my collection, I wouldn't be surprised if I start leaning into selling some of them. But like the only Pokemon cards I have that I care about are a box about this long of like the best stuff, my Charizards, and you know that's stuff that I won't get rid of. And you know I like Lugia a lot, so I kind of have like a Lugia collection and stuff like that. But I that's the heart of what I want to get at with this conversation is kind of like, as collectors, because there's people watching that don't collect nothing, and I appreciate that. And please comment below and explain your part of this. But we're not that. We are collectors, and we both kind of always have been in some way, or definitely heading towards it. Like a younger me would see an older me with all this stuff and be like, "Yep, totally, checks out." Yeah, for sure. And I just don't know. But I am coming to a place where it's even like, let's be honest. I love video games. We like playing video games together. But this collection gets a little bit out of hand because, Hannah, correct me if I'm wrong here, we play what? Mario Kart, and
Sims.
And Sims, and that's
Minecraft.
And Minecraft. That's it. And that does not require 6 bookshelves stacked double deep full of hundreds and hundreds of games. True. I think we're still shy of 4,000, but we're getting there with video games. This introduces a whole nother complicated conversation that I almost hate to have, but I don't know how to have the rest of this conversation without it. But like, I like video games. I like collecting them more than I like playing them. I've always been honest about that on this channel. And to some people, that just makes no sense. And to some people who are passionate about playing games, that can rub them the wrong way, which is, again, it's acceptable, but it's a completely other kind of conversation. So, but what these video games were was a vehicle for this channel, because the first, 4, 5, 6 months of this channel, when it first got its momentum and started to become what it was right now, it was just me buying video games. So there's a certain portion of me who thinks of myself as Tendo, the YouTube personality, rather than Dallas, the average Joe, that has a little bit of my, I don't want to use the word self-worth, but I can't think of any words better, but a part of my like self-worth and or self-definitions wrapped up in this video game collection that I'm looking at here.
It's kind of a representation of success a bit.
Kind of, yeah. I'll allow it.
Yeah.
It really is. So there's part of me that kind of just can't imagine getting rid of it, but at the same time, I as much success as it looks like we have sitting here, I do still consider myself a rather practical person. You know, this collection behind us is pretty well organized, pretty well displayed, and there's so much of that really drives me. Like, I don't just want stuff laying around in piles for the sake of having it, though it might sound like it because of the tubs full of nonsense that we have. But I like the practicality of it. Matter of fact, if you could see the other directions the camera's not pointing, all the other stuff we have is so meticulously organized and put away. So I'm saying this to just kind of add some explanation about how collecting works for us, because like I am also, there's a practical part of me that with these video games goes, okay, you're not going to ever play any of those. If you kept just what you wanted and what you might play, what would that look like? I don't know. What do you think? You answer that question before I do. If I got rid of my video games tomorrow, except for what I wanted or liked, how much of it do you think would be gone?
I think you'd probably end up with maybe 1 shelf, 1.5 max, but I don't think that's like, if you have them too deep, like 2 sets deep. Like,
You think I can fill up one shelf too deep?
like,
If you don't understand, those video games that look like they're just sitting on the edge of the shelf behind Hannah, it's because there's a whole row behind every row. Because I can fill this whole game room with just games if I did them all one deep. And that's not really what I want going on in here. Though that would look pretty cool if we were just sitting here in front of a wall of games. But the Bratz dolls and Furbies are a lot of fun to look at. Now, it's tough to say. Here's the thing. If I had to make the choice what to do right now, I would keep all my inbox stuff for the classic consoles. I got a couple rows up top that you can't see of inbox Game Boy games, and I got a whole row tucked way in the back. I think you might be able to see this on the camera. Nope, it's just cut off. But right here in this top corner back there, there's a whole row of inbox 3DO games. I would probably kind of want to keep, but then that'd be like the top of a shelf, and then I could probably just fill the rest of one shelf with just the Mario, the racing games I like, and stuff like that. But I hate it. I hate that idea. But there's a kind of a duality to it. I'm not collecting most of it for me. I always said from the beginning I was collecting it because I'm gonna make YouTube my living, and one day I'll have a reason or someone to partner with, or another channel or something to make content about gaming stuff. And at that time when it comes, we'll have something really special because we have all of access to all these crazy games. And I mean, the people who've been watching the longest, especially if you're someone that's been watching since the beginning and you know about video games, you'll know that I have a pretty impressive collection, at least to have not spent very much money on it. The funny thing about the collection is that all the shovelware is there. Like my Wii collection is 90% those nonsense Wii games because we have such easy access to them at the thrift.
yeah.
But we've also made really funny content out of them,
Yeah.
both on this channel and our Rubber Duck Yellow channel. But all that could go. What am I going to do with that? Is what my brain says. But then I try to make these excuses. Well, our YouTube channel keeps growing, and we are heading to a place where I could do something with it. But I don't know. What do you do? Because if I go, all right, Hannah, I'm gonna start auctioning off all our games, except the stuff we like. You probably would first say, well, okay, if you want to, but then we'd have a real serious conversation about, or are we gonna regret it? Because we've done that twice with our Pokemon cards.
Yeah. I feel like that is definitely a regret conversation. There's just all of our childhood cards just gone.
Well, yeah, but we were pretty excited about it when we did it because we were just at a point in our lives when we were like, we got to declutter and just let go of old stuff, and that was honestly at the beginning of our reselling journey, and now we're just in such a different place now. But it's such a difficult thing. I didn't want to make this podcast about should Tendo get rid of his games, but I don't know. It just. One day, when I buy a bunch of new games, I'll come in here and be super stoked that it's all here, and then I get to organize it and put my new games away. And then days when I have to clean up other messes, I'm just like, God, just get rid of them. what are you gonna do with all that? Especially since to maintain this collection takes a lot more effort and space than you might think, because there's 4 whole baskets full of loose manuals and cases over here, and a whole other stack back here that I just don't want to get rid of because they're like B, C title games that.
Yeah.
I don't want, if I come across the disc, I don't want to miss the opportunity. Matter of fact, I've got a really nice PlayStation 1 collection. It's probably one of my better collections. And a lot of that stuff's pieced together from, I found the manual and I found the game and, stuff like that. So
there's something very satisfying about taking pieces over time and putting it all together. And then you finally get to put
say
it
it's
all
done
in there and you're like, yes.
Well, you've been experiencing a lot of that with your Bratz collection, haven't you?
For sure. Because, a lot of times I'll get lots of clothes or dolls, and like a few weeks, last week's episode we went to the Toy Con and I bought a huge lot of Bratz doll stuff, and it's just a random t-shirt here, a pair of jeans, some shoes, and just I have my big old tub of Bratz dolls and I have my boxes full of clothes, and I just start organizing it in, and I look up one of the dolls and look at what she's wearing, and then start going, oh, look, I have this shirt now. It's in that lot.
Right.
It's really cool.
I know what you mean, because I enjoy the same thing with video games. But I'm also sometimes watching you piece those Bratz together with so many delicate pieces. It makes me happy those Furby are just one and done.
Yeah. No clothes necessary.
No extra whatsoever. I do love the way the Furby look on the shelf, though, especially these yellow shelves. And your Bratz dolls don't look so bad either, but they are a little bit more difficult to organize, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I mean, the overstock is probably the most difficult to organize because you've got all those teeny tiny clothing pieces and you want to keep them in some sort of order, and it's very difficult.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've been working on it pretty hard. We thought a clever organization strategy for all our Bratz shoes, and it's overflowing. It's just not working. But yeah. I want to get back a little bit to some of the overstock stuff like that, like our tub full of Bratz doll stuff and my tub full of Beyblade stuff. It's like the Beyblade stuff is a lower tier for me because again, it's something I'm keeping because of its value, right? Because like I know it's like having money in the bank. If I had to get $1,000 today for something, we had an emergency, I could put that Beyblade tub on eBay for $1,000 by now. It would sell instantly.
Oh yeah.
I think I might. I hate to say it out loud because I think some might think it sounds crazy, but I think I could list it for $4,000 in field offers, upward of $3,000, $3,500, and it's like if that stuff's rare now, what if I wait another 5 or 6 years or 10 years? And this is where you can get real foolish real quick, or you can strike a gold mine. Because those people that have a storage unit full of Pokemon cards from base set.
Yeah. They're making bank.
But how often, even the smartest of those people, you have to know at some point they were like, especially in the middle of the Pokemon's run where it was not popular at all. Mm-hmm. For a little while there, they had to have gone, I should just dump all this. And I bet a lot of people did. I bet a lot of people did that are now kicking themselves.
Yeah, because I mean, it's same thing with like the Beanie Baby craze you said earlier. It's like there's things that stuck around and things that didn't.
Well, what if we're all in for a treat?
Like and 2041.
Like we're like 65 years old, and then all of a sudden Beanie Babies are just like $20 a piece.
Come back.
Right. I doubt that. I'm not here. Nobody clip this and tell everybody that Tendo said the Beanie Babies are going back up. But
until 2041, whenever they do, and then come back and be like, Tendo predicted it.
Yeah, then you can give me the credit. But I don't know. I don't think there's any chance of that. I guess knock on wood. I think a wood filler. That was a spot of wood filler. We're the people that would be nostalgia for it, right? So but we're nostalgia for Pokemon and not Beanie Baby. I think it just kind of missed its shot.
Yeah, I think so.
But anyways, I don't want to keep Beyblade and then them be like that. Like, do they finally stop making an anime and kids don't care? But it's really difficult because Beyblade as a toy has a little bit more popularity now than when I was a kid. If not, it's the same, but it seems to have a little bit more of a fever pitch and have a little bit more of a reach, right? So the idea is what happens when these kids that are even more obsessed with it than I was turn 18, have their own money, and start buying it on eBay.
Right.
Is it worth more money then? So part of me just wants to keep keeping that tub of Beyblade in a box and just keep it for a rainy day. But, it's still worth the conversation. Is there a time limit on that? Does it run off? And my collection of Skylanders is the same. I don't have a lot of emotional attachment to them at all. If somebody walked in right now and was like, I got a great deal for you for those Skylanders, I would definitely entertain it because I don't have to have that. It's just tough, though, because we have to take up so much space of our living situation because of our antique malls. I mean, matter of fact, you guys don't need to know this, but just to give you a bit of an example, as soon as this podcast is done, I'm going to edit it on the computer. I'm going to upload it, and we're going to jet out the door to our antique mall because as of filming, it is Saturday, big sale day. We're going to go restock our antique mall. It's still early enough in the day. We're going to go put all our new stuff in there. But I'm saying that because there's just such limited space in our lives. Why not get rid of the Beyblade? Heck, I mean, if I did get rid of those video games, it's a lot. Right now you're limited to this. You're limited to this shelf for your dolls, and I'm limited to this shelf for my Furby. And we have enough to make that look way better and spread it out.
Yeah.
But how do we make those decisions, right?
Yeah, because I mean, if we had a bigger space, we would 100% keep it all. So it's just like, well, we'll eventually have a bigger space, so why not just deal with it right now until we do have the bigger space?
Right.
So it's like, I
You,
guess.
you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, and I think a lot of people watching aren't going to understand because I think a lot of people watching are going to understand because they have the same issue, limited space. That's something we all struggle with. But it's such a difficult, honestly, it's almost a pointless conversation for us to have had on a podcast because, like, there's just no way for us to give you guys the understanding that our biggest goal is to have more space to do this on a higher level.
Yeah.
That makes it complicated for us. But the part of that, again, just to reiterate that you will understand is like, do we wait for it? I mean, because we have to become hoarders to wait for it, or we have to get another storage unit or something, you know?
Yeah, and it's like then it costs money to keep it, and then it's, we're sacrificing a lot of comfort.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how often we've had this conversation on the channel or podcast. I don't guess we've ever said it on the podcast, but like I say often on the channel that we don't have a living room. This is our living room. And I wish I had a wider shot so I could show you, but like there's a pretty impressive camera set up here, and then all the game room stuff's behind it. And it's really interesting because you guys just see pretty game room, but like we just see like camera,
Cords.
microphone, computer, like fancy switching devices, right? Like our view's a lot different than yours. And this is a pretty big sacrifice, and one that we didn't make lightly. We didn't just go, we had a couch here when we first moved in, but as soon as life became about reselling space, the commodity of space became way more serious.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not impossible to have friends over, but if they come over, they're sitting in our talk show chairs while we're sitting on stools.
Yeah.
And we've had family come to town, and it's kind of the same thing. Like they appreciate being able to come and see our studio, but they don't get to sit on a couch and watch TV with us.
And I mean that's an important word, studio. Like whenever I tell people like, oh, I don't like my living space is very unconventional. My living room is a YouTube studio.
Yeah.
Like it's not a living room. It's got shelves and tables
and
cameras.
To be clear, we don't think about this too often. I think some of you might hear this and be like, oh man, that's crazy. And it is, but we're very used to it. We're very thankful to have the platform that we do on YouTube. But like it's just different than you think, because even there's just like these fancy lights, and it's just it's cool, and I love it. But I am also getting older, and I am a little, I want to be careful how I say this, I am a little tired of it. I tell my friends all the time, like, I want to keep collecting video games. I don't want to get rid of them, but what I want is a workspace, because the video games for us are as much work in a weird way as they are a pleasure, just because of our world on YouTube. And I'm going to get past this because I don't mean to just make this podcast about being a YouTuber. That's boring. But with my collecting and our collecting, I'm at a place where I would love to have a couch and TV in my living room, and I would love for our collection to be at a place where we go to continue to curate and have other YouTubers and people over to it, and then have our normal life people and friends over at home. And so honestly, that thought is what prompted me to have this conversation today, because you guys are going to see when we go live on our regular channel tomorrow, like I am putting this studio space to use. Mm-hmm. I am absolutely using this space as perfectly as it can be used at its size, and I love that. And I will not. One of the happier things in my life is having the ability to use this camera and audio gear to the best of its ability. So that's why we have this over a living room, is because there's no way we live without this for both of us and our goals. It's the same thing you could probably attest to this with your sewing machine in your space. Our spare bedroom's not a spare bedroom or anything. It's my
workspace.
Yeah, it's your workspace.
I sit and sew, and it's got piles and piles of jeans in it, and it's I've thought about clearing everything out of there, putting a couch in there, and having a TV, and like that'd be our living room instead. But we just need that space so much to be functional.
Yeah, we just can't do it. So that's kind of the point. Like, neither one of us can live without our creative spaces, and we both like to fill our creative spaces with the stuff that we like. That's just both how we both work. So like, it's such a difficult conversation that honestly I don't have an answer to. I'm sitting here thinking, like, how can I push this conversation to a point where like I have a realistic conversation about getting rid of this or that or that. I feel like, I don't know, Hannah, how you feel about this, but like I feel like if I started a video on our main channel tomorrow, it was like, I'm getting rid of my video games, there'd be some interesting reactions, you think?
Oh yeah, I think a lot of people would be like, wait,
what?
no,
Yeah.
it's not. Like that's not real.
Yeah, and I don't want to. Not that this conversation was private or anything, but Retro Rick, fellow YouTuber, him and I have had this conversation a couple times. He knows me pretty well because I kind of just complain about the same things when we have our very YouTube centric conversations. But like, I've told him a couple times, I was like, and I've said this on the channel too, but like I really have tried to express myself more clearly to him. But like, you're more of a gamer than I am. Mm-hmm. I'm more of a collector than you are, and we have an interesting relationship together because of those two components. And video games are kind of one where that's kind of a thing. Our earliest bits on this channel were video game centric, and then we stopped making so much video game content, and then a lot of the original kind of video game crowd has left and been replaced with people that are into reselling. And I told Rick, I was like, I was explaining this to him. He's like, yeah, I get it. He's like, you have a problem with commitment. I was like, yeah, that's it. Like, I don't want to commit to being a reselling channel or a collecting channel or whatever. But I feel like if I had to tomorrow, if someone put a gun to my head and was like, you've got to make your YouTube channel about one thing and nothing else, it'd be collecting. It would just be about collecting.
Which is funny because that's still very vague and very open-ended. You could I could like,
exactly.
I'm going to collect guitars tomorrow.
But doesn't that define me? That's as specific as I can get.
Yeah, and
you
it's
can't
still very open-ended.
You can't hold me down more than that. The moment that I let you hold me down more than that, I'll die.
Yeah.
I can't.
Like, Dallas, your channel has to only be about 1998 Furbies. That's it.
People, I'll meet somebody in public and it'll be like their significant other doesn't watch us, but the person does. They'll be like, oh, you remember Tendo? He's the guy with the video game channel. And I'm always like, but it's the same. Or if they say thrifting channel, and it's like it's just something broken inside of me. It's not like to their defense. It's not they're not the problem. I am. Yeah. I just don't want to be held down to it. But I hope that you guys listening to this conversation hear how complicated this is inside of us, right? Because as much as I like collecting, and as much as I want to keep this stuff but don't, and I'm tormented by it and surrounded by it sometimes, but then get immense joy out of it, I'm just conflicted.
Yeah.
There's not to mention a whole nother portion of this conversation that could go on for hours that we don't have time for today. Both of us, outside of this YouTube channel and outside of our current chosen paths, probably wouldn't consider ourselves the most materialistic people.
Yeah.
Which, to some of you listening, are going to laugh when you hear us say that. And I get it, because we've put on a show for 2 years now being the epitome of materialistic people. And
we're maximalists.
Very much so. What's the word? Completionists, really, is, I think, the popular term amongst collectors. We have to have them all. You gotta have all the Bratz dolls. You gotta have all the games. We both just kind of.
I have to have 2 of all the Bratz dolls so I can show off.
Yeah, you're even. She's worse than I am.
Hey, I'm not.
No, you just got to catch 22, or you're just kind of stuck because all those Bratz dolls come with multiple outfits.
Yeah, it's kind of great, but also awful.
So basically, what you're saying is you're worse than I am because you have to collect 2 Bratz. I don't have to collect 2 Furbies. Is all I'm saying.
Until you find a reason to collect 2 Furbies, you're gonna be like, I'm gonna collect 2 of every Furby, so I have 1 Furby skin and a Furby, and like, so I can take the Furby skin and do that. I don't know. I'm just making this up, okay?
I want to wear 1 Furby skin and I want to keep the other one. That's funny. Yeah, I definitely only have 1 of every Furby right now. I don't know. I'm sure there's 1 or 2 back there that I have doubles of.
That's actually a lie because of my recent thing that I've been doing this week.
Oh. We're not going to give too much away on that.
I realized that you have 2 of the same Furby.
There's a couple, there that I have doubles of. What you guys know that watch our main channel, I have a no Furby left behind policy. So when we go to a thrift store, unless it's very specific scenarios, I don't leave them behind. And so what happens is that the shelf fills up with extra Furby, and about once a month, I go through all this stuff actually we're like on our pricing day for pricing our antique malls, I'll go around to all the shelves and double check, and I'll take the doubles of stuff, and then we'll price it and put it in our antique mall. So that's why you'll see Furby show up at our antique mall, because I do price the doubles. So yeah, there's a couple there that need to go to the antique mall.
You are very good about actually getting rid of your doubles. I am not. I have there's you could see it.
What are we looking at?
The Bratz dolls.
Okay.
So up there.
Go show us. Just talk real loudly.
Go grab it.
You got to speak real loud.
This girl right here, I have literally 5 of. And I already have both of her outfits, and I've got her complete and everything. Actually, she needs her jacket. I think I have her jacket.
This is way better. Why don't you go get another one and we'll role play? Hello, Hannah.
I don't think I'm going to do that. I thought about it for a second. Like,
she started to get up.
So.
She started to get up.
So I do have multiples of her, and I have multiples of her complete outfit, so I can go ahead and put her in the antique mall and go ahead and sell one of them. But
role play with me.
I don't know if my arm's long enough. Other way.
Hi, I'm Furby.
Hi.
Kiss me.
No, you're large. No, run away. No.
That's funny.
So,
what were we talking about?
I could go ahead and start selling doubles of my Bratz dolls, but for some reason I just can't bring myself to do it.
Yeah. Well,
why.
It's a funny thing to keep too much stuff because of its potential. I'm certain there are real hoarder tendencies inside of these habits of mine, but like at the same time, we just went to. Did you get this? Is this one you got at the?
No.
The Toy Con we just went to?
Actually, it's funny that I didn't, because I have so many of her.
Okay, that's what you're saying. We're just like, I feel this sudden inspiration to drive around the country and go to these Toy Cons and sell stuff. Now, if we were going to drive to, say, Texas, there's one of you guys let me know, I think on our Discord, that there's a Toy Con in Texas coming up in October. And part of me is like, let's fill up the bread truck. Let's go do it. We could come back with a lot of money. And I think the thing that makes me feel like it would be so successful for us is like, it's the exact kind of place people go looking for the special Beyblade, for the special Skylander. And it's like, we could just leave with just the tubs of our excess stuff. We wouldn't even have to crack into our goods, our better stuff. Like just some of that stuff we could just travel with and go sell. So like, I don't know. There's just layers to it, because I all in one day I'll tell Hannah, I'm just going to put that Beyblade stuff on a lot. I'm going to sell it and buy us a new camera, because it's time for an upgrade. There's just everything going on here is crazy as it looks like. There's not enough cameras. We need another one. We really do. So like, I'm like, man, maybe I should get us a new vlog camera, and then I could kind of shuffle around what the use for these other cameras are. And I was like, I'm gonna post them on. I'm going to eBay on a lot. I'm just going to get a bulk purchase, and I'm going to go get that camera. And then I'm like, well, there is more money if I start selling them one by one on eBay. But then I'm like, we need to save them, because I do want to go do this Toy Con soon, which we are going to do one. It may just be the one here, but we're going to do a Toy Con real soon, and see how it works. And if it works real well, that might inform my decision with what I do, some of this stuff I'm talking about. If it doesn't work, then it's back to the drawing board. But and also, I want to put the stuff in our antique malls. How cool would it be if you walked in our antique mall right now and there was 1,000 Beyblades? Yeah. I want to do that too. But.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good rule with any antique mall, is if you have an excess of something, someone's going to want to buy it. Like,
for sure.
We had Pez in one of our antique malls for a really long time. We sold a bunch of them.
Oh, yeah.
And if we would have thrown like 5 or 6 Pez on a shelf, they would have never sold.
Yeah, well, I did actually. So, a little bit of history with our channel. One of the there's a playlist on our main channel of like our best thrift hauls and stuff, and one of the first ones on I think that playlist is our Pez haul. We had this crazy otherworldly Pez haul real early on in this channel, just months in, and it was thousands and thousands of Pez. And for a while, I kept them, because, and that was way back. I was even more obsessed then with this futuristic idea of curating these displays and having impressive stuff, but getting it, it was all about also getting it cheap. So we had 1,000 Pez, no exaggeration, probably more, probably closer to 2,000, and we paid $15 for them.
20, I think.
20? Yeah, we kind of had a negotiated deal at the thrift store where we found them, but it was crazy. It was crazy. But I eventually, it's good you brought that up, because that was a real early one where I was like, that one was unrealistic. You know, there's just no way I'm keeping thousands of Pez around hoping one day to do something with them.
Yeah,
right?
There's just so many of them.
Yeah, and most of them weren't good, you know?
No.
And for a while, I kept the good ones. I kept the good Star Wars ones, or I kept the good ones. But now all I have are the Pokemon ones. That's it. That's the only Pez in this house. They're the only ones that aren't going anywhere. But, you know, I don't know. You guys comment below. What is your fantasy with your stuff? This is the second question I want answered. I want you to answer that last question that I asked, but this one is equally important. And maybe some of you will be drawn to answer this one that weren't drawn to answer the first one. With the stuff you like the most, what's your end goal with it? Are you a completionist, kind of like we've talked about being? Do you just want to like have one of everything of something specific you collect? Or are you not a collector at all, which there's completely room in this conversation for that? Or what? Because like for me, what I want, like what the ultimate goal for the stuff is to take regular trips around the country making these videos, but no longer really about reselling, more about looking for stuff to bring back to the shelves. And that was the idea. The dream back then was like, I have all these Pez. Let's make a whole video driving to the Pez factory, come home with a few, bring them back, put them on the shelves, and make that experience of our shelves just as much part of the vision of the video and the content as the adventure. You know, there's always something to come back home to put a final cap on things.
Yeah.
That was what this all was, always. So that's, maybe that dream sounds a little crazy compared to yours, but I don't care. I want to hear, like, what do you want? Because, again, a lot of people I know are going to just say, well, I just want to have games to entertain myself with regularly. And if you're into the gaming, that's usually a good answer. But, like, I mean, what is it for you? I mean, what's the real explanation about, like, with your dolls? I mean, what's the end goal? Is there an end goal, or is it do you healthily just see it as a journey that you're going to be on for some time and the end doesn't matter?
I think it's more that. Like, I don't really... Honestly, the thought of having every single Bratz doll in this house, first of all, is very crazy because, like, that's a lot of dolls. Like,
yes.
That's a lot.
Yeah, very much so.
And the other thing is, it's over then. Like, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel more like it's a journey. It's like this fun thing that I'm doing. It's just like I get to go home and figure out which doll she is and go put her clothes on. And
this brings
fix
up
her hair.
This brings up a really, really kind of interesting point, I think, that will separate some types of collectings from others. With Pokemon, you can work really hard every month to collect the newest expansion, because there's new expansions every month now, or every other month, but there's usually a product release every month. You can work really hard, right, to collect all that stuff as it comes out, but you can be as sure as death and taxes that there's a new expansion coming out, right?
Yeah.
And you don't really have that with Bratz dolls, at least not right now.
No, but it seems like that might be the future, though.
If they go back to making them regularly.
Yeah, I mean, they just remade the original 4 and one of the boys, which is really cool. I think it's awesome that the company's just like, yeah, we're gonna revive this whole thing. But I have no idea if they're going to continue doing that, if it was just a one-off for like their anniversary.
Do you want them to?
I don't know.
Or are you afraid you're going to have to start buying them if they do?
Well, that's the thing. It's like, even with these re-release dolls that we have right now, like, the only reason I really wanted to get them was because I don't know if I'm going to ever get the original dolls. Like,
okay,
they're harder to find. They weren't at the height of their popularity yet, so there's not a million of them. The reason I have 4 or 5 of this girl is because that was during the height of their popularity. Everybody got this collection.
Yeah.
So it's like being able to get the original 4 seems doable, but it's going to be a while. And
well, then, I mean, so if they keep making re-release dolls, then you're going to be more likely to buy them than if they just come out with new lines.
I feel like the opposite would be true. If they came out with new stuff, like if they designed a 2021 collection of all like modern clothes and everything, I'd be way more excited about that than I would if they continued doing re-releases.
Okay.
Because like,
but just those first 4, you were like, first ones ever got to have. Gotcha.
that's where I was heading with the conversation. Is like the only thing that I've read online about the future of Bratz is like them thinking about doing re-releases of other collections, and I'm like, I'm not really into that so much because I feel like I can get my hands on the other stuff. I have at least one doll from every collection from the older sets already. So
that's actually really impressive.
Yeah, I feel like if I have one of them, I'll be able to get the rest of them eventually. So I don't think it's necessary for me to go out to the store and buy a bunch of the same dolls from 2005 today.
Right.
I'd rather get a brand new, like.
Well, I don't envy you in a lot of regards because these Furby here behind me, it's not most of them, it's not half of them, but it's like I've got like 30% of them.
Yeah.
And you're nowhere near that with the Bratz dolls, despite having way more Bratz dolls than Furby.
I've seen people who are diehard Bratz collectors, and I've seen their shelves of dolls, and it is a lot of eyeballs looking at you. Like,
well,
a lot.
Since we're on that, I'm going to try to search on YouTube. Let's start with Furby. I just want to scrub through a couple of videos. Furby collection bin day. And see what someone else's Furby collection looks like. And we can kind of do this with Bratz dolls, though. You've done this. You have watched Bratz YouTubers.
Yeah. Mostly because I'm so curious how other people restore the dolls. Because there's a couple of different methods you can use to get their hair looking all nice and pretty, and it's very interesting to me to watch other people do it.
I don't even know what these are.
Oh, wow. I've never seen those.
Talking mug? It's a mug?
What?
It's got a straw. Okay, it's a cup. There's a cup down here. This is why I don't. Listen to me when I say this. I am, and I think some people maybe watching, like, that I know personally that know me better, this will make sense, but, like, it's not in my personality type to like watch other YouTubers to try to figure out what to do. It's not in my like, this is a little bit like that, but not much. Like now that I see this stuff exists, I'm like, I have to have it. And I know that about myself. So like, I don't go looking. I had no idea this stuff existed.
That's
the
so
Furby
cool.
watch, I'd wear that every day.
Yeah, you would.
This is pretty cool. And here's a bit. We're probably gonna have to hear this. It looks like the guy has these turned on. That's awesome.
Is that the Gremlin Furby in the back?
Yes, it is. That's
so cool.
That's the Gizmo. This is the newest generation here. This is the oldest. Can you tell? That one's a baby.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell, but that one's a baby.
Like shorter.
And these are pretty new. These are just like little bitty Furby things.
Party rockers.
Yeah, and I've got most of those. That's Chewbacca.
The Furbacca.
Yeah. Okay, so we've done that. I'd love to spend more time doing this, just looking at like some crazy. I want to see like a wall of Furbies. I want to see somebody that has most, but we're not gonna go looking that deep. Okay, so Bratz collection. Maybe we should do tour. Like if someone just, I want to see someone showing off.
It's insane, isn't it?
Okay, but wait, 250 plus dolls. You got that?
Yeah,
you got that.
I do. Not complete, but I do have that.
Welcome back to a new video. Today I'm going to film my Bratz
And she's got an accent. She doesn't sound. She could still be in America.
You know what's funny? Most of the people that I know of that do Bratz stuff are in the UK.
Really? I think she is. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
And whenever you look for them on eBay, a lot of times things are shipping from the UK. So I feel like Bratz dolls were just huge in the UK.
You know what? Okay, so Beyblade, it's from China. That's maybe a little bit more obvious. But what was I looking up? There's something I've been looking up lately where it's all of it's in the UK. That happens with some highly collectible stuff. Look at this.
Oh my gosh.
Yasmin.
That's awesome. I kind of want to. She's just showing off doll by doll, but you can see. Let's go back to her intro.
Yeah.
You can just see behind her. She's got a room full of it. That's pretty awesome. So it looks like from up here to down here is her whole Bratz collection. Can you tell what those are? You think that's probably the re-release ones?
I think so. You can kind of tell that they're a little holographic.
Yeah.
One person I think you should look up is.
Oh, you know specifics. I hope someone out there having this conversation says, "Oh, you want to see a Furby collection? Let's go look at Tendo."
Here's one, yeah.
Let's go to
That'd be
Tendo.
fun.
Okay, who are we looking up?
What is his name? I think it's makeup. Honestly,
AZ does makeup.
he does makeup. Yeah.
Does he have a crazy collection?
Yes.
Is this him?
Yeah. He's doing a lot more of like every doll. So, but like he's got a huge Bratz collection.
Right. Well, we got to let the ads play. Let's read the top comments. Yes, you should do a mini version of you. I'd love to see that. Yes. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's like, he does the OMG LOL dolls.
He does a lot of
the
Bratz
Monster
stuff.
High. Like, you can kind of see, I think right behind him are those are Monster High
Okay,
dolls.
those are Monster High also. Okay,
There's
I
a
see.
Bratz head right there.
Oh, that's a big Bratz head? Okay,
Yeah.
so, well, he just does a lot of doll content. What does he do with them?
He restores them. He collects them. So
Oh, and he like does their hair and stuff. Oh, this
Yeah.
was a live stream. Okay, so we need to go to his channel and find like.
You should find a Bratz specific video. He'll probably have a lot more shown off
Okay.
then. But it's insane because like even you saw in that little clip there, all these little tiny legs.
Big
just-
Bratz haul. That's what I'm talking. I want to be this guy's friend.
Yeah, he seems really cool.
He's just showing off Bratz dolls he brought home.
Yeah.
A lot of LOL stuff.
And that's a recent thing for him.
That's awesome.
So cool.
And you guys aren't going to really have sound. I haven't got that piped in, but you can just listen to him. He knows exactly what he's talking about.
And it's impressive because he'll pick up a doll and be like, all right, well, this is the Funk Out Ethan, but he's wearing Cameron's shirt from the Flashback Fever, and like the shoes from
That's
this
awesome.
one. And he knows specifically each individual piece. So I'll watch him. I'll be like, okay, I have no idea what shirt this is. Let me
Oh,
just watch
sick.
a few
Look,
of these
his
videos
hair-
and see if it shows up.
His hair was red. That looks sick.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean,
Oh, look at this Bratz shirt he has on.
That's so dope.
That's so dope,
You
bro.
can tell from his YouTube name that
I'm about to slide into them DMs and ask him where he got this shirt.
Where'd you get that shirt?
That's so cool.
But
Well,
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Well, that was really cool to look at because, you have to know there are on YouTube, if it exists, there's someone making videos about collecting it, right? And I think I'm hoping one of these days, if not already, that I'll fit into that like Furby collector sphere. I would definitely love to expand those shelves and really start laying them out when I get more. You can't see it because it's right at the top of the collection there. But my inbox stuff is on that top shelf. There's a couple there. There's a couple more here. The top, way on top of the shelves, there's way more inbox stuff.
Yeah.
But, I don't have a lot quite of anything. I probably have 1/3 of the original Furby line, like the first release ones, and only 4 or 5 of them in box. I bet there's somebody out here on YouTube that's just got all that, But
There's your doubles. You need them all loose and in box.
yeah,
I
no,
would do that.
I've been. That's probably what a lot of my doubles are right now. But I have been, once I get them in box, I've been getting rid of the loose ones because they're not something that stays sealed. I don't
Yeah.
think they were something that came with some seal sticker that can't be replaced. You can open a Furby and take it out, So I just leave them in the box and then take them out if I need them. So I'm not too worried about that either. But that's it. I mean, that's most of the conversation I wanted to have, honestly.
I have one more.
I
one
mean,
more point.
please, Bobby, there's still a lot to be said about it, but it's just too complicated of a conversation to fit in an hour podcast.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I wonder is we differ on something with the amount of things that you're going to collect with it. 'Cause like with my Bratz dolls, I mostly have narrowed down my collection to I just want the girls and I just want like them in their clothes. I don't really need any of the memorabilia. I don't need any of the play sets. I don't need any.
You're not even interested in box that much, are you?
No, and I'm not even really as interested in the boys. Like,
Why don't
or
you
the little
hop up
brats.
there and get your inbox stuff off the top real quick so we can talk about this. I think I could maybe finish your thought here. Like, Hannah's not an inbox person at all. Matter of fact, she almost hates it. Although, like, I don't know. Once you become kind of a serious collector about something, it's kind of, you got to have something in box, right? So, like, I have a bunch of sealed video games. Maybe only 2 or 3 of them are worth money, though. And the only ones that I keep that are valuable are just so I have a couple. But there's a lot of it I'm not interested in. You don't have to get all of it. Is there more inbox? How much inbox stuff you got?
Just one more.
So this is the remake right here. This is we just bought this, which is funny.
The remakes back here.
This just turned into comedy hour.
bad.
I should have left the camera on this angle and narrated. You just destroyed that shelf.
it.
Look at what you did. Look at it. All right. Well, you kind of fix that, and I'll narrate what you're doing.
Oh, her hair. Look at their hair.
Did you just mess their hair up?
Look at that. They're a mess.
Wow. But this is one of the new release remakes. If you found this in box at the store right now looking like that, and it wasn't the remakes, it was the original one, money, baby, money. But we picked those up because again, these are the original ones, and Hannah just thought it would be nice to have on display with her collection. And honestly, they weren't that expensive. What, $25 a piece?
Right.
I mean, that's a lot for us, considering all this stuff was bought at the thrift. It's pretty rare for us to spend money on something like that. Well, I mean, I say that, but again, very rare. The last time we did anything like that, we bought this. I'll show you the price tag. $25 price tag there. I almost dropped it.
Oh my gosh.
I've
Best.
Bratz Boys, right? That's a classic Bratz doll in box. We found it at the thrift for $25, and we were like, "There's no way it's not going home with us." And until these, really, that was our only in box Bratz stuff. But I think you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. But the point she was kind of trying to make is like we just differ so much because like I love this way more than you do.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you wanted these when they came out, so we went and got them.
Yeah.
I had to talk you into buying this.
Yeah, because I was like, well, it's the boys, so I don't really need it that much. Like, I didn't really, I don't know. I'm so specific about it all because like I don't get that like excitement about, you know, there's like several different types of Bratz dolls. There's the babies where they're like they have the big head and they're really like these chubby little.
There's no reason to have those, right? But like I have the baby Furbies and they're my favorite ones.
Yeah.
But it's different because they're literally just a Furby.
Yeah, those
but
are
smaller.
actually really cool. But there's like the Lil Brats. They're like literally this big. And there's Lil Brats that are a little larger and their proportions are different. And then there's so many other versions of them, and it's just like I don't care. Like I don't need those. Like it's fine. I'm not gonna collect every single tiny Bratz thing. Like
Right.
we have a Bratz binder down here that we're gonna put the Bratz cards in. But
Yeah, I'm
like,
still
even
going
then,
to.
that's like you like cards,
Yeah.
so we went ahead and did that because that's kind of like both of our collections together.
That's another difference with us. I don't just want Furby. I want that stuff that we just saw on that video.
the
I
cups,
want
the
that
watch,
stuff, and I have some of it. Like one of you guys sent me. Actually, two people sent it to me now, and I found it at the thrift once. The Furby board game. It's kind of buried behind these Furby here, but yeah, like there's some in-packaged Furby sunglasses people sent me, and I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And you're not. On one level, you are kind of like that because you like the Bratz because of their accessories, but like you don't want Bratz mugs and.
Yeah, if I had it, I'd be fine with it. I'd keep it, but at the same
I
time,
just
like,
go
I'm
to
not going to go searching for it.
I go to the thrift store praying that stuff we just saw in that video showed up. Like it's all I want out of life. And so, you know, the coolest stuff people send us in the mail sometimes is that stuff. They see it at the store and they go, Tendo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In my head, people do that out in the wild. Tendo.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and we've gotten sent some really cool Bratz stuff before. Like we have Bratz shower curtain hooks.
Yeah.
Those are awesome.
Those are really cool.
And both of my pillows on our bed have
Our Bratz pillows and one of mine. Yeah.
One of yours
absolutely.
is too.
Those were from the mail.
And so it's like we have a Bratz towel that I really like too. So it's like if I have it, I'll be happy about it. I'll keep it.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm not gonna go out and get a whole bunch of like the play sets and everything. Like
Right.
that's an immense amount of space.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. But I'm quite the opposite. I want it. Like I think about it. I dream about it sometimes. I love that branded stuff, and I'm kind of that way with my Power Rangers stuff too. It's way off camera, but I don't think it's gonna show up on the wide either. No, it's just on the other side of those shelves. But I've got a Power Ranger shelf, and my favorite stuff over there is like the Power Rangers watch. You know, like just the weird stuff. Like listen, some of it's really weird. Like,
Oh, that's not even the weirdest one to me.
that's like Power Rangers napkins. What's the weirdest one? The fish hook?
The fishing bobber. That one's weird. They're on the edge, yeah. They're like
Like-
what? Why do you need that?
Well, why would you? I found 2 of them at once. There's 2 of them over here. I found them at the bins once.
So funny. I don't know. I just feel like why do they even make this? Like, who needs a White Ranger fishing bobber out on the lake? It just doesn't seem like it makes any sense.
How about
what is that?
Batman, Power Rangers bath foam and shampoo.
Oh my gosh! And see, that kind of makes sense because it's actually kids related. But like fishing bobber, I guess if a kid's going fishing,
Somebody sent me that in the mail. I don't have to have that on the shelf. It's just funny, and it's actually pretty new. It's not like it's vintage.
yeah.
But yeah, I like the weird stuff when it comes to collecting. Matter of fact, here's a good story. Let's do a little story time. One of the best things to me, I think this will explain my affinity for the odd, the affinity for the obscure. We were at the bins one time, and one of my buddies at the bins, we were digging, and he picks up this poster and is just giggling. It's very clearly like a rolled out poster, but it was laminated, right?
Okay.
It's not like it was a from the store poster. It was weird, but he rolled it out. He was giggling at it, and he turns around and shows it to me. And he could see it in my eyes, and he knew I collected Power Ranger stuff. And he handed it to me. He's like, "That's all yours." It was from a school. Someone made this, like early Photoshop. It was probably hanging in a classroom in 1995, 1996, something like this. Zordon, the Power Rangers, one of those Power Ranger scenes, and it had some school-related information on it or something. I'm not going to be able to do it justice because it was I can't remember now what it said. And I left the thrift store with it and was very happy with it. You guys can't see it, but off camera over there, there's some weird posters, right? Like I've got a Mario one that fits this. So it was printed for a school library.
Yeah.
But it says something really dumb.
Read something silly.
Or like I've got a giant Harrison Ford poster where it's just like him looking all beautiful with a book, and it just says "read" on it.
It does. It's so funny.
It's so odd. Is it over there, or is it in there?
I think it is over there.
Go find it. If not there, it's in the bedroom. You guys have to see this one. But I love that kind of obscure stuff. And matter of fact, like one of these days when we can make this collection and stuff a little bit bigger, that's the kind of thing I like. And this Power Rangers poster, I took it home, right? And I put it in my storage unit. And I had one of these moments, and you guys might have these moments yourself. But I woke up in a cold sweat one day and realized I'd thrown it away. I have nothing to show you for this Power Ranger poster. Tell them about this.
Okay, actually, I was the one that was like, we have to buy that. It's so stupid. We have to have it. What does the fine print say? Harrison Ford is for American libraries.
Yes, for America's libraries. We'll just leave it.
He's just like why? He should be holding a perfume bottle. And
Look how perfect that is between us. Why is that not always there?
I don't know. He's just like perfectly between my rat stalls. Right
Yeah.
now.
I don't know what to tell you. That's glorified nonsense. There's no reason for that other than it's awesome. But like that Power Rangers poster, I collect Power Ranger stuff. One of these days, I'd like to have a giant Power Rangers space curated for videos to do cool stuff in. And I want that weird stuff in there. And I know telling you about this poster is almost pointless because I can't show it to you. But it was just as weird as that. Just imagine that, but Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that kind of stuff. So I think that's another big difference with us. You just want kind of complete brat stalls, and I just want it all.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. And I think we can end the conversation on this. Let's make a point at the end of this. I want to go back to the bit where we were saying how we weren't and kind of aren't materialistic people. And I think one could make an argument that some of the stuff I'm saying is like, you can hear the torment in me that like, I don't want all this stuff. There's a lot of people that are going to understand how having so much stuff can kind of be like a weight around your neck. Like you're kind of stuck to it. It's a lot of responsibility. And there's also tons of room for conversations about, the benefits and problems with being overly materialistic. But like I said, I would love to come home and have I tell my friends this all the time because of how things have gotten for us with our reselling and what we have to do to stay afloat. I would love to come home to nothing but a couch, a TV, and a bed. And then all the other stuff be somewhere else. Except for maybe like, I don't know what probably my PlayStation 4 and a couple games and a couple consoles. Like, I'd love for the rest of this stuff to be somewhere that I go to experience, to make videos out of, and come home. And at home, not be materialistic, but be materialistic at work. And I understand in saying this that is a fantasy land,
Yeah.
But I honestly, that's what I'm doing with my life. I'm trying to build my own fantasy land.
Yeah, I feel like we differ a little bit on this as well, because like I have a lot of sentimental attachment to items. I always have. So whenever I think about like not having any of this stuff here and like getting it all somewhere else, it kind of gets a little sad. I'm like, no, we
Really?
have some stuff.
I don't.
Like,
we haven't talked about this a ton, so that honestly surprises me just a little.
yeah, I don't know. Like, I still have my stuffed animal from whenever I was, 5 in my closet.
Right.
I keep it. Like, I can't get rid of it.
That makes sense. It's funny how different we are. If someone walked into this room right now, I've looked at this video game collection. If I sold it all on eBay individually or in a few different in lots of different sizes, I could go home with about $20,000.
Yeah.
If I put it up all as one lot for a game store to buy, I'd be lucky to get $5,000 or $8,000.
Right.
Just kind of how this kind of thing works.
Yeah.
But if somebody walked in this room right now and was like, "Here's your 20 G's, here's 50, something reasonable," I'd be like, "I'll load it up for you." I'm quite the opposite. I'm not sentimental in that way at all.
I'm kind of like the woman that sold me the lot of Bratz dolls at the Toy Con. She was kind of like looking at it, watching it, like realizing that it's all going to be gone, and started feeling a little bit sentimental. She was just like, "Wait, can I keep this one?" And I was like, yeah, because like I understood. I was completely sympathetic with that. I'm like, yeah, I'd be the same way. If someone was like, "Here's $20,000 for all your Bratz dolls," I'd be like, "Okay, you can have all of them except for like my original ones,
the ones
like,
you had when you
I
were
had
a
when I was a
kid."
kid. Like, you can't have those. Like,
Even the Furby, man. If somebody came in and was just like, I don't know what it would take. I've never considered their value, so it's a little bit difficult for me to say this. But like, if somebody was like, "Here's a big fat stack of cash, I'm taking those Furby," I'd be like, "Yes, you are."
yeah. I mean, average price for a Furby is like $20. So.
But my sentimentality is the journey, I guess. I've enjoyed being the internet meme for these Furby, right? Like, even I don't know if he's made a video about it or what, but Rick texted me this picture a while back. Retro Rick, he had found a deal, a really good deal on Furbies, and he was like, "I'm thinking about buying these," and I couldn't tell how many it was, but it was a lot. And I was like, "Dude, you've got to, because if you come home with one purchase with more Furby than me, we'll be the biggest joke on the internet." I was like, "Do it for the meme, man. Do it for the meme."
Start a fake beef and be like, "Rick,
that'd be even better. That's right up my alley. I'll do a fake beef every day of the week. But like, that's it. I like that stuff. I like the meme of it. I like, and We Fit used to be my meme. You're not gonna be able to tell, but this row of these Wii games, the top 2 shelves, the top 3 shelves, the back row are nothing but Wii Fit. And that was my meme for a while. I'd buy those, and everyone just thought it was a funny thing, and some people didn't get that it was a joke. But the Furby are kind of like that, though. I do like them. I do genuinely like them and the colorfulness and stuff, but they're a little bit of an internet meme, Tendo and his Furby, and I'm super happy about that. So I do like them. I do have some sentimentality, but like, if like I told you the other day, like, we really want a nice newer Sprinter van. If there was a way I could convert this into a Sprinter van kind of all at once, all this stuff in here, I'd do it, because then we'd be getting in the Sprinter van to go back out on the road to start to essentially go do it again.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the journey, but there is something interesting about the replaceability of all of it. It's just like, well, yeah, your video game collection is really cool, but a lot of it is shovelware. You'll find it again. Like, it's not a big deal.
Oh yeah, there's 100 games in here that are 95% of the value, and the rest are just nonsense.
Yeah.
Even today with the raised video game prices, that's still the case.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a good conversation. I enjoyed it. I hope you did as well. I hope you will comment below some of your thoughts on this, as well as the answer to some of those questions I asked, because I don't know if you guys see it or not, but I am trying to kind of interweave a certain trajectory of conversation in these pre-tape podcasts as we go. I'm working really hard to kind of keep it a certain kind of vibe and keep it heading towards a certain place, because we're working really hard to accomplish some of these dreams we're talking about. And as we do so, I definitely want to be able to come back to this show and continue to have conversations about those exact things and how we feel different about it. If one of these days I do sell the video games, I'd love to sit right here like we've been doing and play back some of this exact podcast and talk about whether or not our feelings on some of it have changed. That's kind of the point of making these podcasts alongside of what we do on our main channel. Now, to wrap this up, please make sure you're subscribed to this channel, and pretty please make sure you go to our main channel and set a reminder for our live show, which is, as of posting this, it'll be tomorrow. I don't think we're going to post a regular video tomorrow. Matter of fact, just a little bit of a, I don't know, hint for you guys. Just if you're watching this, you guys are going to know way more than all the thousands of people watching our main channel shows, because I don't think I'm going to say anything about it. I'm just going to kind of do it. I'm leaning towards, and if I do something else, just know, even now, I'm unsure if I'm going to do this, but I'm leaning towards actually one video a week on the main channel and a live stream. So like Sunday or Monday video, Thursday, Friday, or maybe different, Thursday, Friday video, or like Wednesday video, Sunday live stream. I don't know, but I'm leaning towards trying some new stuff out. But we're gonna do a live show on our main channel, and then I will probably post clips from it on this channel. Just there's some cool bits that we're doing inside the show that I definitely want to live on its own as clips that people can watch on their own. So even if you don't go watch the live show, you can expect some of that stuff to show up on this channel. But any final thoughts on the stuff, on all this stuff?
Got a lot of it.
We got a ton. Well, you guys rock. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.